Greetings, intrepid adventurers. I am Whisper. Welcome back to the library. Today we are doing something a little bit different, but just as fun as our normal content. I watch a lot of B-movies, and I do mean a lot of B-movies. Especially this year, my fiance and I have been on a kick since we found Tubi. Now, B-movies come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. There are some I gladly watch again. The Evil Dead is one of my favorite movies. But there are also some I wish I could bleach from my mind and that it was a total waste of a good hour I could have spent doing something else. And today I thought it would be fun to do a little activity and rank them. I have about 30 or so that we are going to be putting on a tier today. So this is our tier list. I have all 30 of our horror movies lined up. Well, our B movies, but all of the B movies that we watched are horror movies, so just so you know where my head's at with it. So the first movie that we have on this list is Dead Time Stories. It was an anthology and honestly incredibly boring, so it's definitely not getting anywhere above a D tier. I will say it was a bit comedic that the kid kept calling his uncle back in, so for that we are probably gonna drop it into a cozy D tier. Next, we have John Carpenter's Body Bags. Now, there was actually a lot of big names in this movie. My fiance and I were both surprised by that. They even had Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself. But I will say I enjoyed the in-between bits with John Carpenter more than I enjoyed the three stories that he was supposed to be telling. So because of that, I'm gonna put it in probably a B tier. Now, Planet Terror is one that was a bit more wild than I would have liked. My fiance did warn me that it was a grindhouse movie. It actually is the reason that the Machete movie with Danny Trejo got made, because that was a fake trailer at the beginning of the movie. But Planet Terror is a zombie movie that I don't even know where to start, to be fair. The girl who played Paige in Charmed is one of the main characters. A zombie rips her leg off and she goes to the hospital, and her love interest replaces it with a table leg. And then later on a gun. So there was that. The zombies were really disgusting and really melty. Not my favorite. Not my favorite. So for that, it's going in C tier. It looks like next on our list is Piranha 3D. Obviously we did not watch it in 3D, but there were moments where you could tell that it was definitely supposed to be 3D. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. I will say it was gory, not grindhouse gory, I suppose. But it was definitely a horror comedy that I enjoyed. It was just a bit outlandish. And I mean, it's a movie about killer piranhas. What exactly did we expect? I will say that I liked this a lot more than I liked the second one, so I'm gonna put it in A tier. With that being said, Piranha 3DD, the second one, no. I'm quite sorry to Danielle Panabaker. I think that's what her name is. She was in a lot of Disney stuff, but no. 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 It was not good. It just wasn't good. To be fair, it's gonna be a D. It's gonna be a D from me. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be a D. I feel like when you see what my favorites are, it's gonna be like, girl, what are you doing? But, here we are. So, Head of the Family was. We're very much into the Full Moon franchise. They make lots of B movies. Like, that's their whole brand, is like really bad, campy movies. And we watched Head of the Family. It's just gonna be a no from me, man. Just straight up no. There's a man with a big head and a baby body, and then a girl who just tries to seduce a lot of people to get her way, which honestly, girl power, you go. But not my cup of tea, not my favorite of Full Moon's repertoire. Not the worst movie I've seen, but not one that I would watch again. So that's going to be a D tier for me. In comparison to Head of the Family, Bad Channels was actually a really, really good Full Moon movie. It was really interesting. The whole thing is that, if I remember right, it's aliens are taking over radio waves and like abducting people and making them small. They're putting women in jars, and there is actually like a Tall Man spin-off movie with one of the women, but the woman at the end of the Bad Channels movie that they show still being small is not the same woman that they show in that Doll Man movie. So someone got a little mixed up somewhere, the continuity doesn't run right. But to be fair, again, it is a Full Moon picture. I am not expecting much. But Bad Channels is definitely one I would watch again. Not, I wouldn't say it's like a favorite, but it was pretty good. One of the most disappointing aspects about watching the next movie, Hideous, is that not at any point did they say the word hideous. If I remember right, this is the one where there are rich people going around and basically collecting medical anomalies. So all of these creatures or people are part of their collection, but they don't name drop the title, so I'm just a bit upset by that. Again, not one of Full Moon's best. I would definitely put it right there with Head of the Family, if I had to put it anywhere. Not the worst, does not deserve F tier. You know, if someone asked me list a Full Moon movie to watch, it would not be that one. Maniac Cop we actually ended up enjoying a lot more than I thought I would, but it has Bruce Campbell. Freaking Ash versus Evil Dead himself, you cannot go wrong. And it was actually really interesting trying to figure out what was going on, and it was a bit of a puzzle. I'm gonna say a solid B tier movie. Actually, no, I'm gonna put it in A tier. Now, Demonic Toys is one of my fiance's favorites. For me, it is definitely a C tier. It's a ride, especially the ending. The whole movie is a ride and a half, and I honestly can't even begin to describe it. It's one of those movies that you have to experience it for yourself, but I'm also not sure if I want to recommend you go watch it. I did not realize that I had an extra Piranha movie here. That's just another poster for the first one, so ignore that. Doll Man? No. Doll Man is bad. I love Full Moon. do not recommend watching their sci-fi unless it is bad channels. In my opinion, that is the only good full moon sci-fi movie. So this, yeah, D tier. Seed People is going in F tier. I did not like Seed People at all, and it's literally pretty self-explanatory by the title. I think it's like aliens or something are dropping seeds and taking over people's bodies. So literally self-explanatory. This one, Night of Something Strange, it is on our banned list. It is on our banned list. We don't talk about it. We don't acknowledge that it exists. I should have made a lower tier just for that one. Don't watch it. Just don't watch it. Especially if you are sensitive to assault and sexual assault. Don't watch it. I don't know what I was expecting when the movie poster literally has this little whatever, this tentacle coming out of her. But it was not that. It was not that movie. We refer to it as the horny zombie movie, and they were horny in bad ways. So, no, don't watch it. Don't acknowledge its presence, and maybe it'll go away. I will say that the very last line of the movie was a gem. You're following these people, and at the end of the movie, the only survivor, he says the dumbest line I've ever heard. America Googled hero, and I was number one. Something along those lines. And then he immediately gets hit by a truck. Completely out of pocket and unexpected. Do not watch this movie. Just don't do it. Save yourself the hour and a half, and go watch Maniac Cop or Bad Channels or Piranha. Any of them. I will admit that Trancers was one of the better full moon horror movies. I think this is the one where we were confused if the main character ends up being his own grandfather. But we liked it well enough. So it's gonna be a solid B tier for me. Maybe I need to rewatch it. Maybe I missed something. Maybe this is a me problem. But I think that's the one where we are pretty sure the main character might have become his own grandfather. Now, Oblivion is a space western, I'm pretty sure. Really my only distinct memory of watching it is a man being tied out in a desert and these really giant, I think they were bugs, came after him, but I don't really remember. I'm gonna put it in C tier. I remember liking it more than any of these movies. Ginger Dead Man? I did not enjoy. I did not enjoy it. That's going to be, I know it's probably like a full moon staple, and maybe I should put it in D tier because it's not the worst. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, it's Gary Busey come back as a killer gingerbread man. Like, you know what? It's better than Seed People and Night of Something Strange, so I do think it deserves at least a D tier. Everything about it was wild and out of pocket. And, you know, I guess if you enjoy that sort of thing, knock yourself out. But it was just too much for me. Too much. Now Frankenhooker was wild. Frankenhooker, this man is an inventor and accidentally makes a lawnmower that slaughters his fiancée and her whole family. And he gets a bunch of prostitutes, like a whole bunch of sex workers, and accidentally blows them up with coke that he made and puts his girlfriend back together. The whole thing is a bit wild and out of pocket, so it's gonna be a solid B tier for me. The Cannibal Women, my love. This is one of my favorite movies now. I have watched this movie at least 3 times. It is S tier, it is supreme. It's starring Shannon Tweed, the wife of Gene Simmons from Kiss. Like, it is self-aware and ridiculous, but in good ways. It's about like feminism and girl power, but like it's completely ridiculous, and I cannot recommend going and watching The Cannibal Women of the Avocado Jungle of Death enough. Go find somewhere to watch it. I think you can still watch it on Tubi for free. Go look it up. It's great. It's a fantastic movie. Unlike The Stuff, which is next, The Stuff is gonna be a solid C. It was gross. I'm not gonna lie. It was fairly disgusting. I don't even know what The Stuff is. I can't remember, but it's like it takes over people, and then that's all you want to consume, and it's basically like one big organism. Have you guys ever played Resident Evil 7? It's a lot like that. The Gate is one of those, I wish I had never watched it. It was a waste of my time. It was boring and didn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm never gonna get my time back from watching that, and I wish I could forget that I did. Tammy and the T-Rex? Honestly, a pretty solid B tier movie for me. It's another one that is just outrageous, and you really have to watch it to get a handle on how utterly ridiculous it is. They're trying to bring a dinosaur back to life, but it's a robot, and they put this kid's brain in the animatronic dinosaur, and he's trying to convince his girlfriend it's him, and then they're trying to get him like a real body, and just the whole thing is just a wild ride, but it's fun. It's a fun wild ride. I'd probably recommend watching it. Maybe if you're looking for something stupid. Now, The Lair of the White Worm is actually a British movie, an English movie. To my surprise, it has Peter Capaldi in it. Like Mr. Doctor Who himself. I'm sure he's been in other things, but that's the only thing I know him from as an American. And Hugh Grant. Like, it's a pretty solid movie overall. It's a little dry, a little slow, but honestly, it's a great movie. Like, I really enjoyed it. But as a movie itself, it's definitely a B tier. Shrunken Heads? No, it's gone in F tier. It's going in F tier because I just know. Shrunken Heads, we joke about it and how bad it is. Basically, these kids are bullied, and then they're shot and killed, and then this man brings them back with hoodoo, and it just gets... There's one part where one of the boys has a switchblade, but he's like a flying shrunken head, and he like spins around in a circle real fast to open it, and it's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen, and it also has really bad CGI. It went on much longer than it definitely needed to, so it's going in F tier. So next we have Waxwork. This one, my fiance said, scared the daylights out of him growing up. I guess watching it as an adult, I was underwhelmed. It was kind of interesting because they go into this wax museum and each one falls into a different exhibit and then they have to live out the scene for the exhibit. I'm gonna put it in C tier. It was honestly a little dry, a little slow, but it was interesting overall. Now, this is going to sound insane, but I am putting Rubber in S tier. It's a movie about a killer tire, but it is so self-aware. So self-aware. Like there's an audience and then they poison the audience because they're watching the movie play out, but they're not supposed to know about it. Like, it's great. Honestly, it's a wonderful movie that I would gladly watch again. I would go and watch it. I can't even put it into words. This one I'm a bit disappointed with. For anyone who doesn't know, next on our list we have Sleepaway Camp. It's actually supposed to be like a slasher parody, which I didn't know. I've heard a lot about Sleepaway Camp, and I guess it just didn't live up to my expectations. I give it a solid C tier. I'm not thrilled that a poor, abused transgender girl ends up being the villain, but I guess look at the time that it was made in. It's a solid, like, middle of the road overall, so I think C tier is appropriate. Microwave Massacre? No. 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 Don't waste your time. Don't. Don't even read about it. Don't look at it. It was a waste of time and energy, and we just watched it because it was there. We were just looking for something. And, don't even bother. Don't even bother. Now, Night of the Demons was actually pretty good. It was a little bit freaky, and there was a part where a girl gets possessed and she sticks a lipstick in her boob. So that was pretty painful to watch, but you could tell it was a prosthetic because it's an 80s movie. But it actually wasn't bad. I give it a solid B tier. It was campy, which I guess it's supposed to be, but it's one of the few horror movies I've watched where I've actually found myself rooting for the characters. Normally when I watch horror movies, it's just I'm there for the experience. But I actually found myself rooting for the final people. And last on our list is it's a parody movie, but it's really good. It's called Saturday the 14th, and it's a solid A. It's actually pretty funny. It's a little bit ridiculous, and honestly, it was just a joyful experience to watch. I would recommend going and watching this one. Anything probably B tier and up, I would recommend watching. Anything C through F, don't. Just don't. I mean, unless you're into really bad horror movies, but even for B movies. Cannibal Women of the Avocado Jungle and Rubber, S tier, all the way. And I stand by that decision quite firmly. I just thought this would be really fun to do. And hopefully maybe you guys found some movies to go watch. Ignore F tier. Ignore everything in F tier. Don't bother. Just don't waste your time on them. C and D tier, maybe. You know, if you're looking for bad movies to watch, go ahead and indulge. A, B, and S tier, you know, I definitely recommend. I just wanted to do this as something fun, and something a little bit different. I've been watching so many B movies, so yeah. This one actually wasn't scripted, so I might have rambled a little bit. Either way, I hope that you guys enjoyed, next time onto our regularly scheduled program. So let me know what you guys think down below. Have you seen any of these movies, and what sort of ranking would you give them? I hope I get to see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep dreaming, and farewell.